We live in a time where many games follow a very similar formula, but there's also a lot of crazy crap out there too. That's what we want to talk about today. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanx, 10 upcoming weird games you can't miss. Starting off with number 10, it's a game called Killer Bean. So, where do you start with this one? This is an upcoming game where you play as a bean, a killer bean, an edible seed, typically kidney-shaped, that grows in long pods on leguminous plants. A deadly one. The gameplay trailer is completely absurd. You're flipping around, jumping out of cars, suplexing guys, fighting zombie beans. There's a jet at some point. What the hell is going on? The game's Steam page says it's a third-person roguelike shooter where everything changes each run, from your objective to the story to the locations, which, I'm not gonna lie, kind of sets off my BS alarm. But hey, anything is possible, right? Don't let your dreams be dreams. There is real potential for open world chaos here. Some of the acrobatics give a kind of Max Payne crossed with Just Cause vibe. But the fact you're doing all this as an anthropomorphic bean is what makes it truly bizarre. The Wikipedia says it's going to launch into early access on Steam February this year, but the Steam page just says coming soon. Hopefully it does come out sometime this year. I don't really even care if it's good or not. It looks nuts. Or beans, but nuts is the right word. And number 9 is Squirrel with a Gun. Do you understand what kind of nonsense we're talking about here? So this is a game where you play as a squirrel and you've got a gun. I don't think a lot else needs to be said. I mean, you probably already heard of this one. It seems like all the websites covered it back when it was first announced. There are a lot of games with a funny title and not much else going for them, but it does seem like the devs are putting some legitimate effort into this. To what end exactly, I can't say, but it makes for a funny trailer. Some of the highlights include doing some kind of deflect move on an enemy agent, the squirrel sticking up someone on the street for money, and this extremely over-the-top takedown animation, because of course the squirrel can do melee takedowns. The squirrel doesn't just get pistols and MAC-10s either. They're also going to give it a bazooka, which I'm curious to see if this is going to be more of a goat simulator, just screw around kind of game, or an actual game. I kind of don't have any complaints with either of those directions. I'm kind of happy with either of those games happening, but once again, Steam only lists it as coming soon. And number 8 is Militsioner. This is how developer Tall Boys explains this game on their Steam page. Just gonna quote it in full because, it is something. Militsioner is a first-person, surreal, immersive runway simulator. The giant policeman keeps order in town. You haven't broken the law, have you? Of course, someone must have been telling lies, but this morning, you were arrested. I like how the giant policeman is like an afterthought. Oh yeah, there's this giant man watching you at all times. Move past it, move past it. It's a first-person surreal immersive runway simulator. The giant policeman is no big deal. Stop asking about the giant policeman. It's part of it. It's just part of it, okay? I do feel like the gameplay footage speaks for itself, though. This is a game where you're a guy trying to escape this village, but entire time, you're being watched by a gigantic policeman. If you do anything wrong, he'll reach down and grab you. While you're exploring, this guy talks to you. You're given various options how to reply. They seem to be an important part of managing your escape. But what makes it, more weird, especially weird, I guess, is the giant policeman's demeanor. Now, you'd think he'd be a hard ass or a bully or something, but he actually comes off as kind of more needy, maybe even a little codependent. It's honestly pretty interesting. I like the idea of having to formulate an escape while being watched at all times. No firm release date, but I'll be keeping an eye on it either way. From their YouTube channel, it looks like they're making a pretty fair amount of progress on this one pretty quick. And number 7 is Baby Steps. Unlike most of the other games on this list, the game actually has some recognizable names attached to it. It's by the creators of Ape Out and Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, and it's being published by Devolver Digital. It has a pretty simple, ingenious premise. It's getting over it, but instead of trying to climb vertically, you're just trying to move forward. The game gives you direct control over this man-child's legs. Honestly, this is a cool-looking thing. to me. The point is, you have to navigate this guy one step at a time through the world without constantly falling over. A literal walking simulator. It's Death Stranding if your guy couldn't even walk forward without assistance, and it looks pretty funny. Hilariously frustrating, even. Maybe not quite as hard as trying to climb a mountain with a sledgehammer, but yeah. The trailer cycles through a number of challenges, from navigating a slight incline to walking through mud to trying to cross a cliff face. It looks excruciating to play, but in the best possible way. And number 6 is Palworld. In what can only be described as the design of a madman, Palworld is an open-world survival crafting game with Pokemon-like features and military hardware. Yes, this is the Pokemon with guns game, and it's somehow even more insane than I thought. It's very ambitious. I mean, it's a survival crafting game and a Pokemon clone. There's base building, farming factories, where you can put the pals to work, building structures, farming, or slap these things on an assembly line. It has a bit of a mean streak. You can eat your captured pals, literally work them to death, or, give them a machine gun and have them fight to the death. There are apparently roaming poachers to fight and even dungeons to explore, but it's monsters with guns. That's what I want. That's what I'm here for. There are ones with rocket launchers, cannons, miniguns. It's bizarre. And unlike every other game on this list so far, it actually does have a release date. Depending on when this video goes up, it's either very soon or it's already out. It's hitting early access January 19th with included co-op multiplayer. Apparently, PvP servers will come eventually too. It's one of those games that seems like some kind of a joke, like no way it'll actually come out, but seems like it's coming out pretty soon somehow. And number 5 is Pony Island 2 Panda Circus. Daniel Mullins, the guy behind the Hex, Pony Island, and most recently Inscription, has a special knack for making extremely bizarre games that are also really mechanically interesting. People love Inscription not because of its many wild and unexpected twists, but because of how much fun the basic roguelike card-based gameplay is. Pony Island 2 looks like it's going to take the genre-hopping, reality-bending madness of his previous games and crank it up to 11. The trailer alone is a roller coaster ride of different visual styles and gameplay elements. Take any part of this trailer in isolation, and it seems like you're looking at 3 or 4 completely different games, but no, it's just Pony Island 2. The game's description is just as mysterious as the trailer, talking about how you're a nomad doomed to the Earth prison, and that you have to play games devised by entities to escape it, or something like that. I mean, I guess. If it's anything like his previous games, it's gonna be nuts, though. Daniel Mullins already had a strong visual style in the previous games, but this one looks even more visually exciting. Probably the most interesting one yet, honestly. And number 4 is Sorry, We're Closed. This whacked-out survival horror throwback looks like what you get at Combined Silent Hill on the PlayStation with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with a dash of Killer 7 on the side. In a way, it almost makes it the most traditional game on this list, in that it's a single-player narrative-based adventure where you do standard survival horror things. There's first-person combat, which mixes things up, but the things that really make this one wild are the presentation and art design. It actually looks really fun. The demo also makes me pretty optimistic for it. I would definitely recommend giving it a go. No release date for this one, but again, there's a demo. Play the demo. And number 3 is The Alters. You'd think after making grim games like Frostpunk and This War of Mine, 11-Bit's next game would follow suit, but no. Instead, they're making one of the weirdest games I've ever heard of. It's tough to describe, so, follow along with me on this one. You play as a guy named Jan who's stranded on an alien world. The only way to survive is to pull in alternate reality versions of yourself to help you, each with their own personalities, skills, and likes and dislikes. It's a base building game where you manage a crew of clones, but wait, there's also some kind of third-person exploration element where you have to go out onto the alien world and collect resources. Also, your base is a giant wheel that has to keep moving in order to avoid the planet's sun, which is so hot that it's deadly. I mean, that's a lot of stuff, and I'm still not completely sure how this game actually plays. But people who've tried the demo seem to think it's pretty nuts. I don't know how it'll come together. I haven't played the demo on this one. I'm probably gonna, because I'm pretty intrigued. But the visuals are absolutely fantastic for a game like this. And I'm pretty curious to see how it'll all come together in the end. The release date, like almost everything else on here, is just a vague 2024 though, so who knows? Check out the demo. And number 2 is Rowan Sands Rebuild, made by the creators of one of the most interesting horror games of the last decade, Paratopic. This game seems wildly different in both atmosphere and style. The trailer makes it seem weird but understandable. It's a resort simulator where you run around keeping your guests happy, cleaning up after their messes, massaging their egos, doing maintenance around the resort. The trailer implies there's something else to it though, with the description on Steam saying it's an adventure gotcha puzzle apocalypse visual novel simulation horror trip, which is a lot of words. Definitely a bunch of words. There's actually a demo for this one, and yeah, it gets weirder. On top of the resort game, there is some kind of weird puzzle game with a lot of meat all over the place. I don't know where it's going. This is a demo I have played, and I don't quite understand what it is, but it's very, very intriguing. But there's no date given on this one. And number 1 is ENA Dream Barbecue. I don't know what this is, but you gotta admit this is a hell of a trailer. This thing has style like you wouldn't believe. The way it mixes 2D and 3D animation is extremely impressive. Many people are saying. From what I can gather, it's apparently a first-person adventure game where you explore surreal environments and interact with some weirdo characters. What you actually do beyond that, I cannot tell you, but you apparently use strange tools to solve unusual problems, which sounds like an adventure game, but maybe there's more to it. I mean, even if it's just an adventure game, like straightforwardly, it's got a very, very unique visual style and MO from the looks. There does appear to be at least one moment where you have a gun, so there's that. Also, this dancing wizard, what's going on with this guy? He looks like he belongs in those CDI Zelda games or something. Got a couple of bonus games for you too. Elation for the Wonderbox 6000, which that's a very silly title, but the title is actually a little more straightforward than it sounds. You play as a freakish little clay man who just wants to play the video game Elation for the Wonderbox 6000. The entire game is you trying to get to the game. It's a strange premise with a bizarre art style. It has me pretty interested, honestly. It's pretty grungy and disgusting looking. I want to see more messed up stuff, right? Next is Ultros. This one's riding mostly on the visuals. Neon kaleidoscope of chaos is the aesthetic. It was created by El Huervo, the artist who worked on the Hotline Miami games. The gameplay looks a little more traditional. Metroidvania with some roguelike stuff. There's some unique twists on the formula, like the ability to plant seeds that grow and provide stepping stones to reach new areas, but only after multiple runs. Still, this one's on the strength of the art, which is as abrasive as it is disturbing, but also very high quality. And finally is Pacific Drive. A lot of people have gotten their hands on it, but this bizarre roguelike driving simulator hybrid is actually not coming out till February 22nd of this year. It's full of mysteries. It's got an unusual focus on mechanically accurate driving, and it looks kind of unlike any other game. Well, maybe something like American Truck Simulator combined with Control, but that's also a kind of weird thing to describe at all. This one's highly anticipated, and for good reasons. It looks horrifying and bizarre in all the right ways. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.